Hello everyone, my name is Tucker, and welcome back to Russian Fishing 4 and our spin fishing character. So this is the second episode. The first episode was uploaded about 24 hours ago and included the new tutorials, and we ground our way up to level 6 pretty quickly. Today it's pretty late, so it's already almost 8:30 in the evening. I'd like to try and get this one up and posted and processing through YouTube to hopefully get it released around midnight tonight, and then maybe record a float fishing episode as well too. But today I'd like to just keep grinding up and seeing what we can get as far as the free gifts, see how far we can get. So today's been a very busy day for me at that four-letter W word. So kind of playing catch up already, which should be obvious by me recording at 8:30 at night. So I did come on for a few minutes on a different character and fish this spot for a few minutes and pulled 50 silver out. Granted, it was a little bit of a higher level character, so I did have a leader on, but this spot was very good to me, just right up from the cafe here in Winding. So cast out, and before we even really started reeling in, we had a 900-gram chub. So I was getting a lot of 1.5-2 kilo chubs right here. So again, you want to cast directly towards that tree. We are using the standard starter reel and rod for spin fishing. We did buy a Spiker 2 0018 so far. Ultimately, I do want to buy a couple more lures. We'll see if we do that today. Today may be a quicker episode. We may kind of call it at when we get to nighttime, or we may go buy one of the lures to work nighttime. But was catching a good number of chub here. Got a couple of asp as well. So it was pretty profitable. It was 54 silver in about 20 minutes real life, and probably only actively playing about 70% of that time. I had a training session for work that I was watching, and when I had a few free minutes, I'd cast out for a second, reel in, see what I could get. So I don't even think I've increased. I still like to use about a 20 for the retrieval speed and get speed up where I can. And we got a fish on. So mainly in this area, you'll get chub, you'll get asp. I did catch a couple of pike. Looks like this is a pike. So just short of a marker pike, but pike are a little bit scary right now since we don't have a leader on at all. We could lose our lure, which would hurt, but we almost have enough to buy a new one if that happens. And so far, I've seen smaller pike up here, so usually I feel fairly safe that they're not going to steal our lure. Even getting a fluorocarbon lure leader that's about the same size as the line can support. It's a little bit thicker, and the pike will have a little bit more trouble biting through it. I've actually never lost a lure, knock on wood, and I probably cast out about 200-300 times, both down here and then a little bit downriver as well too, where there's a little bit bigger pike. And it seemed like with a leader, about 80% of the casts I would get a fish on. Here it seems like about 50%. Every other cast I seem to be getting a fish on. Feels like a small chub or a pike. No, it's a small asp. Still 118 experience points, though. So I'll take it. We're about 2/3 of the way up to level 7, and we started about a third of the way there. So we've gotten about 400 experience points today already in 3 fish. So again, I like to get the speed up, let off. If I see touching bottom, I know I've gotten as far as it's going to go, and we got another fish on. 300-gram chub, only 48 experience points. Not really worth a whole lot. Let's try up the side of Winding here. So we're right up here. Cafe is right here, and we're casting both right along the shore here, and this time we cast into that part of the second river. I would tend to get perch more casting out like that. And speaking of the devil, there's a perch. Small perch. But it's a fish nonetheless. I definitely think if things go well, we should get level 7 and maybe even level 8 before the end of today in game. So marker perch up to 6.1% spin fishing. So spin fishing will unlock mainly the use of other lures. So right now we're using spinners. The next things would be spoons and wobblers and things like that. So leveling that up is definitely important because the different type of lures will go after different fish, and especially trolling at Quarry Lake, going with wobblers or spoons, you'll tend to get bigger fish that way. But the spikers can do pretty well there as well too. But that's level 20. That's a long way out at this point. I didn't let this get to the bottom before I started reeling in. We did catch a small pike there. Only about 200 experience points from level 7. This feels like it's either going to be a last minute perch or nothing. And it's not going to be anything. If I remember correctly, we've got about 35 silver in the bank. The lures I'm thinking about are about 25 silver each. I wouldn't mind getting 2 of them. One will be good for nighttime fishing, one will be good for daytime fishing. And then, depending on how close we get to level 8, at level 8, you unlock the ability to use a leader. So that's a shorter piece of line between your actual line and your lure on spin fishing, or your hook on float or bottom fishing. And usually you'll go for fluorocarbon leaders, especially spin fishing, because the fish cannot see a fluorocarbon leader in the water. And I definitely feel like the bite rate is much, much better with a fluorocarbon leader on in this area. Looking up, it is a little bit warm, so it's about 20 degrees Celsius out there. Not quite the highest I've seen here at Winding before, but definitely warmer than I think it was yesterday. So had a couple of casts there where we didn't get anything. Let's aim to the far side of that river. And we got a fish on, and a pretty decent one too. Probably just barely a marker perch, it looks like. 500-gram perch. We did reach level 7 there. Another 195 experience points. So let's see what present we get. We got an elegant spin 101. So again, this is something brand new that just released yesterday. Is for the first 10 levels, they give you a free present every time you level up. Now it is interesting, it is starting to get cloudy as well too, so that may impact our bite rate. We'll see. So we need another 3,000 experience points to get to level 8. I would love to get to level 8 today. I don't know if we will. We've been fishing about 4.5 hours in game time, 8 fish, so not too bad, honestly. I would also occasionally cast straight ahead at that birch log on the ground there. Usually this was perch territory for me, but it's fun to kind of mix things up with spin fishing. And it does seem like a lot of times just letting off, there it was as I'm talking about it, just letting off and letting the lure fall deeper into the water attracts the fish. And as you saw, I probably let off from reeling, let the lure fall in. And granted, we caught a very, very tiny perch, but we still caught a fish. Feels like a pretty decent chub. Maybe right at a kilo. Or right at a kilo pike, a marker pike. 6.9% spin fishing. Nice. 200 XP there. I did not even look at the cafe orders or anything like that today. I've noticed, especially here, it's hit or miss whether there's a cafe order that's worth it for spin fishing. Usually there is some sort of a perch order. A lot of times it is bigger perch, but I forgot to even look at what orders were available. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there are 2 places you can sell your fish at each water body in Russian fishing for. There's a cafe which says I want X fish at Y weight. So I want 5 chubs at 300 grams each minimum. And the cafe usually pays a little bit more than the fish market will. So we'll see. I'm actually pretty happy. We had a fish on before I even had the bail locked there. It's a small one, but I was just skipping it across the water there. But it's always nice to have a fish on without even really doing anything. With clouds coming out and the sun going away, I'm kind of surprised it got even warmer. We're up to 21.5 degrees. Decent fish here. Decent perch. 300 experience points there. So that was a tenth of what we need for level 8 in that one fish. .9% spin fishing. think spoons unlock at, I honestly can't remember. Yeah, 15%. I was thinking 10%. So I do have 3 points that I forgot to spend. So we'll put one in each of the same things we did. So put it in using a spinning reel, which gives you casting distance with a spinning reel. Fishing with a spinning rod gives more casting distance and accuracy, as well as control of fish. And putting it into fishing with spinner baits improves the technique. Improving the technique gives you a better chance at bigger fish. Decent chub. 100 experience points. 8.1% on spin fishing. Sun is starting to come back out. And with putting the points in, we got a new casting record distance for us. So 17 and a half meters. Skip that small perch in. Another new casting distance record for us. Another last minute perch. I always love those perch that bite at the very end. So 159 experience points, 8.5%. And we're about a third of the way up to level 8 already today. Another decent fish on before we really even did anything. Looks like it's probably a 500 to 600 gram chub. No, it was an eyed. 500, just shy of a marker. That would have, or just shy of 500 grams would have been nice, but 200 experience points for the eyed. Eyeds are less common, so I'm not surprised. I'm so used to playing float fishing and bottom fishing where you're constantly digging for worms and baits and things like that. Where caught a last minute fish there. Where I'm used to my food being a lot lower after a day of fishing. Usually I've had to eat or drink multiple times to keep my health up or my energy up in game. But because I'm not doing that right now, spin fishing, because there's no real need to. We're not tying a worm onto a lure. It's just a different mindset. 256 gram chub, 9.1% on spin fishing. Looks like we hit 18 meters with the cast there. Started, I logged in, it was about 10 o'clock, so it was probably 10:30 or 11 before we actually started fishing. So 8 hours of fishing here, 21 fish, and a decent chub on the line. 1.1 kilogram chub, maximum total weight of fish caught in a day. which really this is only our second day, so I'm not entirely surprised we got that. But that'll be a good 3 or 4 or 2 to 3 silver for that one fish there. Saw a couple of little nibbles there. That's part of why I stopped for a second, was just to see if the fish wanted it. Did a speed up and let it drop. So again, reel in for 3 to 4 seconds, hold shift, you'll see speed up. When speed up drops, you can let shift go and either keep reeling, or a lot of times I like to let the lure drop to the bottom of the water again after doing a speed up. Bit of a late fish there, but oh, it slipped off too when I lifted the rod up. That's unfortunate. So 22 fish and probably about 9 in-game hours, 8.5, 9 in-game hours. Been a lot of smaller fish, which I'm not entirely surprised with because we don't have a lure. Or sorry, we've got a lure. How else would we be catching a fish, Tucker, without having a leader? Let's go for the birch log. Another small perch. Maximum number of fish caught in a day. And again, we barely fished for a day yesterday, so I'm not surprised we're getting biggest fish, most fish in a day. Especially since we've put some skill points into fishing with spinner baits. We might be catching a little bit bigger fish. And I expect to hopefully be getting even better fish if we get up to level 8 and can get a leader today. Good fish. Good fish. This is probably at least 1.5 kilos. So the way I like to fight these fish is just hold the rod up like this when they're swimming away from us. And then when they stop, reel in a little bit. And you do want to keep tension on. If you lose tension, you've got a better chance of the hook slipping out of the fish. So you'll see when it gets down there into the yellow and the green, I usually start pressing shift to reel in faster. And then a lot of times I'll let the rod down and then pull it up again. Basically, you kind of want to get the head turned, and if you can get it to the top of the water, you'll usually be able to catch the fish. I'm not worried about it. We'll definitely pull this fish in unless the hook slips out. I'm not worried about getting spooled or the fish taking all my line. Looks like a decent asp. Turned out to be an asp, so a little bit stronger. So 1.2 kilograms of asp, 1,000 experience points from that one fish. That's awesome. So we are about a fish, another fish like that, and we're definitely going to get level 8. But another almost normal size fish for us, and we'll probably get level 8 as well. And if that happens, I don't think I bought a leader between episodes or at the end of last episode. So we may go sell what we have, look at the cafe, see if there's anything worthwhile, and buy a leader and maybe a lure that I like to use at the nighttime. So there's level 8 on a 600 gram perch. We got a spin shot 1002. So we did get to level 8. Definitely a good day. That asp definitely helped us. So looking at the cafe, crucian and roach will be more bottom and float fishing. Perch, we need 5. We've got it. So the 5 smallest we have would be worth 10 silver here. And if we sell the same 5 small perch to, well, I think it was only one non-marker and 4, it would be 348. Even if it was all markers, it would be 5 silver. So definitely worth it to sell the fish to the cafe here. So I'll go ahead and do that. It's another 10 silver. There was still 2 days left on that order. Rough is a nighttime fish. There's only an hour left on it as well, so we're not going to get that. Zebra mussels are a possibility, but I doubt we're going to get any of those. And the rest of these are not things we're going to be going after. So let's go ahead. I don't think I've gotten my free in-game food. So again, at Winding and Mosquito, you can get free food from the field kitchen. So let's come into the tackle store. We want to go to rig components and classic leaders. So there's steel leaders. These are useful for catching pike, especially if you're targeting pike and big pike, which we're not. Nylon leaders, basically the same line we currently have, monofilament line. What we want to look at here are the fluorocarbon leaders, and right now we've got 3.1 kilogram line on. We've got a 3.2 kilogram rod, 3.1 line, and a 3.9 rod there. So we want to be around a 3 kilogram leader. You want your leader to be the weakest part of your whole equipment. So 3.2, I'm not opposed to that, but if we look at the other option here, there's a 3.1, which is probably more in line, but it requires level 14. So we're going to buy the 3.2. Now you can make your own leaders, but that requires buying the fluorocarbon and leveling it up. We're nowhere near the stage of doing that. So the other thing I haven't really talked about is your test weight of your rod. So especially with casting, spinning, you want to make sure your test, so the weight of your lure, the weight of your leader, is within your test weight. So we've got a 3.5 gram lure on. That's well within the 2 to 10 gram. If it's heavier than 10 grams, and I can show you some lures that are, you'll damage your rod. You won't be able to cast it as far. If it's less than your lower end, you won't be able to cast it as far as well too. And you can also get longer rods for getting extra distance as well too. But just one thing to keep in mind. So if we go look at lures and spinners, what I like to use are these Kila 4 grams, especially for what we've got. So the 004 is a good one. Looks like it's sold out here. We may go check Mosquito, but the 006 is in stock here. And this one seems to work pretty good for me at night. So I'm going to buy it. It's only 26 silver. We had 30 some odd even after buying the leader. So I did put the leader on. I didn't mention it, but I did put the leader on. So earlier it looked, I missed the X. Earlier it looked like this. Classic leader, put the leader on. So now there's a piece of line that I believe is, so it's a 20 centimeter piece of line that's fluorocarbon. So basically in the water, my lure is not attached, or doesn't look to be attached to line. It looks like it's just out in the water. So that usually helps cautious fish bite onto it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put the Kila that we just bought on here. And let's cast out a few times and see what we can get. So this is still a spinner, just like the spiker that we were using. So similar concepts. Still want to retrieve it at about a 20. Try and get a speed up. Turn a flashlight on for you so you can see a little bit. And night spin fishing is a little bit lower bite rate. So I may cast it a few times here, see what happens. And if we're not getting a good amount of bites, I may call it so that I can get this uploaded and through YouTube's processing so I can get it posted tonight, and then maybe get a float fishing episode recorded as well. So unlike a lot of people, I do not have a big backlog of recordings. I record and usually upload that night. And at least last night I released the first episode of this around 11:30 midnight my time, and then I release the float fishing episodes at 9 a.m. Central, or 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central time usually. So don't have anything recorded float fishing. Haven't logged into that account at all today. And it's evidently upside down time for my dog tonight. So he's definitely had a fun day today. Really good weather. Just warm enough not to need a jacket. Just windy enough not to be sweating too much going outside or going for a walk. So I'll cast this one or two more times. I may then throw the spiker back on, see if we get any luck. I'm also not seeing a lot of fish being caught in chat either. Now, granted, it'll only announce certain fish and certain sizes of fish. So we'll throw the Spiker 218 back on. We did just cross midnight there. So not really catching anything tonight. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here for today fishing, especially getting into nighttime. It's just going to slow down more than I really want to deal with. So as far as overall fish, we got the 10 silver that we already sold. We got 22 silver on 21 fish remaining. If we sort by price, the 1.1 kilo chub was 4.5 silver. 1.2 kilo asp was 4.5 silver. So definitely good. You can see the difference in a marker versus a non-marker. Definitely worth it to get the bigger fish, which with the leader, I think we'll have a better chance of that moving forward. So we did spend about 30 silver and we're back up to about 30 silver. So pretty much broke even on the day, which I'll take early on. But appreciate everyone watching here. We'll be back again either if I don't get a float fishing episode recorded tonight, we'll get I'll definitely do one of those tomorrow. So hopefully can try and do 2 series at once here, but we'll play it a little bit by ear. But definitely have a new episode by Friday, if not a new one tomorrow. So appreciate everyone watching, and we'll be back again in the future. Have a good one.